Hey, I want to read this letter, and I want to talk about race and being an artist, a black artist, being a black artist. Okay, being block, block. Anyway, uh, being a black artist. Okay, being black. Okay, and being an artist. All right. It's so cool to see brothers doing 3D art. It's so hard to find us in this field, and I can name the ones I know on one hand, and you included. And the more diverse the field becomes, the more richness and content we can enjoy. That's why I do it. So I'm gonna bring a whole new level, a different arena to this. I'm glad. I'm glad to post my work. I plan to post my work soon, but right now I'm in a bit overwhelmed to even start. And so that's what I want to keep. And he says, "Keep it up, brother." So that's what I want to talk about is even starting. It's so much work to even start, you know. And so I'm having like this emotional drama today because I've hit a number of high points that I wanted to hit like 10 years ago, you know, and I want to say there are plenty of there's a huge amount of black people into this nowadays, okay, but when I started like 10 years ago, there were few, but unless you were in the colleges, and I wasn't college trained, and this is one of the points that I want to make is that I didn't even know what 3D computer graphics or character animation was when I started. And I remember being like 24, 25, 26 years old, and somebody showed me Softy Maj. And I think I was so customer loyal to Apple because it was the first computers I get. And I think I just, being an artist, I think that artists kind of become attached to one thing and don't want to change. And I think that's what it is. It's probably the first time I've ever said it, and so I'm saying on cam. We become attached to just drawing and painting, or we become attached to airbrush and don't want to change. So when Photoshop comes along and you can no longer keep your job because they don't use airbrush anymore, we don't want to change to a new medium because we have this love, this connection, and this emotional experience with those tools. So there's this type of tool. I can't say. I was about to say tool love, but there's this kind of attachment to the tool or to the actual, and we don't even think about it as tools. We think of it as being a part of us. We we think of it as being like a computer being I don't know, a person, like a brush. I love the feel of brushes. I love the feel of oil. I love the smell of linseed in the morning. I really do. I miss that smell. And I used to have some really toxic stuff, that would be, and so you go and you're like spazzing out, and then you're checking in the hospital, right? Anyway. So I'm just saying is that, like a lot of my artists who are black artist friends that are local, they're so stuck on the media. Oil and paint, it's a media. It's a media of expression. Just like pencil, like we get attached to this right here. This becomes, like some people, I had this young black artist who I kept telling him to use ZBrush. You have to have a pen and a palette. And, I've had several of these. But he's like, no, I don't like it. I'm like, you're not going to make it. Dying to use ZBrush, right? But if you don't have this, you're not going to make it. And then don't want to make the transition to learn how to do this. I've had several pens and palettes and Wacom tablets and stuff like that over the years. I broke them, and as soon as I broke them, I'm like, I'll be walking around depressed, right? We become attached. I've seen airbrush artists lose their job to me because they didn't want to learn Photoshop because they can't attach. I've seen painters don't want to learn. I'm talking about black people, okay? Don't want to learn. No, I'm not. I'm talking about white and black. I'm just talking about artists in general. They don't want to learn the new media because they come attached. And one thing that I said when I was like young, 17, and I was studying art history, the art history books on my own, and I would, relish them because I've never seen like real Renaissance paintings and stuff like that. And when I moved to New York, I finally saw it, and I went to the Met, and it was like a spiritual experience for me going to the Met. I literally, it was really, it was a spiritual experience. I mean, I was having dreams about it like years before it happened, And the day I actually finally made it to the Met, I ran into Anthony Quinn, and he gave me directions. Zorba the Greek, I literally came out of the subway, and I said, "Excuse me, sir, can you tell me which way is the Met?" Turns around, and it's Anthony Quinn, Zorba the Greek. I was walking up to that building, and the flags were flying, the wind was blowing. It was just rushing through my soul. I was like, it was like the Holy Spirit, It was amazing. I dreamed about it before I even got there, I dreamed that I was sitting up in there and I was talking to the Pope. It was amazing. It was amazing. And then I saw all those religious painting. And, artists are like, the higher calling of artists. If you were King's Court artists, you were like nobility. It was like your duty to hold a certain amount of nobility and integrity. And you could see that in like really phenomenal artists, world-renowned artists like Michael Jackson. The noble things that he did. I mean, he should have won a Nobel Peace Prize for the stuff that he does. He has done. He should have won a Nobel Peace Prize, not just the Guinness Book of World Records. I mean, he's the most. His humanitarianism is like beyond. So anyway, like I was saying, as far as black artists is concerned, I was a part of this platter group, right? This group of artists that would actually go onto this group. And anybody who was American didn't like me. But anybody who was foreign loved me, What does that tell you? I mean, knowing I'm black, right? Anybody who was white American didn't like me, except for one or two very liberal guys. And as soon as I got some work and some business, I was like, for just not fighting against me, you can have some money. You could be a part of this job. And I know, it's not always the work, it's actually having it on your resume, having Puma or whoever on your resume. I haven't even advertised that with that stuff yet. I don't really advertise because I'm still studying, But anyway, also this other guy mentioned a gender war. He mentioned, it's gender war. Right. He mentioned the other day, and it's bad, and I apologize to him right now because gender war, because I had said something. He said to me, "Hey man, it's good to see a black artist doing this." Oh, and the first thing was I'm black, and to me, you never want to mention that, to me, now I'm not talking about you personally. To me, it's unprofessional, to mention that you're black. And so that's why I was like, black doesn't have anything to do with computer graphics. The computer doesn't know whether I'm black or white when I'm sitting in front of it, And so that's how I tend to look at my craft and my work. It's not about me being black, but in a way it is. But those other ways are different. And like I said, I want to start a talk section on that. But it's difficult. Um, so that was two key points I wanted to make. Is that it is getting even started as a black artist, and I wanted to talk about that because I'm a little depressed about it, and I feel good about it, but I'm not depressed because I don't really get depressed, but I'm a little disappointed about. I remember the day I got started, and I want to talk about some of those things that have to do with that. And then the issue of being black and being an artist. And usually when somebody comes and says, hey man, I'm black, it usually means they want something for free. They want the hookup. And so I charge for my services, and I charge for, my training. I used to make $150 an hour training, and I've taught in colleges and stuff like that. Not that I made that in college. I would make that during corporate stuff. I would teach like groups of architects and groups of web designers who just wanted to learn 3D and needed somebody to come in and show them how to get started with some of the software. But usually people who want to say, oh, I'm black, so it's like, oh, you owe me something. And it's like, So I don't want you to be offended by that, by the fact that, when somebody tells me, hey, I'm black, I'm like, because the reason why they're mentioning it is like, do me a favor just because I'm black. And really, the fact that they're asking me to do them a favor is why I would not want, when everybody else is trying to be professional. So to mention the fact that you're black is unprofessional to me. I don't want to know if you're black or white. I want to know how you act. What do you do? How far off you are. If it means, give me a freebie, give me a freebie. I'm black too. Anyway, so I just didn't want to. No offense. That's just how I perceived it, And so I did give you the best advice. You asked me, I've had other people say, hey, I want your knowledge and I want your wisdom. You don't want to go through what I went through to get it. So, that's another thing is a red flag. Is people says, I want your wisdom, I want your knowledge. I'm like, do you know how much I went through for this? So it's not free. It costs me a lot. So anyway, and I'm still paying for some of it. Anyway, and that's why I have very few people respect for, well, I can't talk them. There's cause and effects for a lot of things, Anyway, God bless you all. Yeah, that's a barbecue stand.